Jack, why are you doing the review of Unbreakable? Oh, come on. You think with Glass coming out this weekend, I'm not going to take the opportunity to talk about Unbreakable and Split? Come on. Come on. Unbreakable. Unbreakable is a movie written and directed by M. Night Shyamalan. In Unbreakable, you have David Dunn. His marriage is kind of failing. He's not really happy with the work position he's in right now. And then he's on a train one day. The train derails and everyone except David Dunn dies on the train. Not only is David Dunn the sole survivor of the train, but he also somehow got out of the train crash without any kind of broken bones, any scratches. He is the sole survivor of the train and he is perfectly just wasn't even like he was in a train crash. So this kind of leads him on this path of kind of, wait, I've never been sick. I don't think I've ever been really seriously hurt. That car accident in college, maybe? Did I even get hurt? I don't remember. And just like jumping way ahead, the big twist of Unbreakable is that apparently Bruce Willis is a fucking superhero, just right off the bat. This is my favorite M. Night Shyamalan movie, hands down. No matter what happens this weekend, no matter how I view Glass, I feel like no matter what, Unbreakable is always going to be, I'm gonna sound like a pompous jackass when I say this, Unbreakable is always going to be M. Night Shyamalan's magnum opus. But it is. Everything from the camera work. And the opening scene is David Dunn on the train. It's one continuous shot of him talking to this hot girl. That whole conversation is just one shot. Not only that, but just the way that the shot is set up. The whole shot is pretty much just that little girl's POV. That's following from David Dunn back to Hot Reporter. So camera work, that's awesome. The soundtrack, oh my god. The score of Unbreakable is one of the best movie scores of all time. What James Newton Howard did with the score, I love it. I listen to it all the time. It's just so great. The fact that this score didn't win an Oscar is just baffling. In fact, what actually won in 2000? Oh shit. Apparently Unbreakable wasn't even nominated for Best Score, so that's also stupid. What won? Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. What the fuck? But like, more back to the story, you end up having Elijah Price, who's this huge comic book fan. He thinks comics are a legitimate art form, which they are. He's like this real like comic snob. He thinks comics are like this higher art form. He thinks comics are inspired by like some kind of ancient Egyptian shit. And he is like hold true in the belief that superheroes are real and they're among us. And he was looking for someone like David Dunn throughout all these disasters that just have occurred over the past couple years. He was waiting for someone like David Dunn to walk through his door. He was waiting for this polar opposite of him, because while David Dunn is unbreakable, he never broke a bone in his life, he's never been sick in his life. Elijah Price is the polar opposite of that. He has this condition that makes his bones real brittle. So when he starts finding David Dunn, he starts like asking him all these questions. He's trying to prove the theory, and David Dunn just like, whatever man, you're full of shit. And the audience at first is like, whatever man, you're full of shit. And you start like getting all this other stuff. Like David Dunn has like this sixth sense, not that kind of sixth sense. I know it's a Shyamalan movie, but we're not talking about that Shyamalan movie. But anyway, he has a sixth sense. Like if someone were to like knock David Dunn on the shoulder, he could just like, he could see where like he saw a guy in the line of the football stadium that he's a security guard for. He saw that he had a gun in his waistcoat. And there's also a scene when he's in his basement and he's lifting weights with his kid. And he's just like, that's 250 pounds. I have never lifted that much weight in my life. Take that off. You could have killed me. Son goes in, and rather than take weights off, he puts more weights back on. And he's like, he's lifting 275 pounds now. They run out of weights to put on the barbell, and they start putting full cans of paint on it. This dude could probably bench 7,000 pounds easily. All right, that might be an exaggeration. Maybe Glass will show what the extent of his strength is. Who knows? Also, he wouldn't be a superhero without a weakness. And apparently, David Dunn just is afraid of water because he almost drowned as a kid, how he almost died as a kid, and how he just doesn't remember that, and that's probably how he got his superpowers. His son Joseph is pretty much like fully like immersed in this idea that my dad might just be a superhero. Then after all that, he kind of gets this idea that, you know, maybe I am a superhero. Let's go and test that shit out. So he goes out and he starts like feeling people around in public. That sounds weird. That's okay. It's a little less weird than I'm making it sound. But then this is the just the best part of the movie, because he sees that this guy has taken this family hostage. He goes to save the family. He falls into a pool and he's gonna drown. Then like the kids that he saved, like right before the guy who kidnapped the family pushes him out the window, kids save him, they pull him out of the pool, and he pretty much just takes the guy, puts him in a chokehold, chokes him out, and then just goes home. And then the next morning his kid comes downstairs and David just kind of slides him the newspaper with a sketch of this guy in a poncho, and they say local hero saves family. Joseph just kind of looks up at him, and David's just like, you were right. And it's like, that's the feels from that scene. But anyway, he goes to Elijah. He says, you were right. I think I might be a superhero, so thank you. He goes to shake his hand, and then he gets a vision that every single disaster that has happened in the past like couple years, there was a plane crash, there was a fire in a building, the train that derailed in the beginning of the movie, Elijah Price was behind all that. And Elijah Price was like, I spent my whole life looking for you. I found you. There's a hero and there's a villain. Arch rival is always the exact opposite of the hero. And they start out as friends. He's like, I should have known way back when. You know why? Because of the kids. They called me Mr. Glass. And then there are titles. David Dunn led the authorities to him. Elijah Price is now in prison for a bunch of counts of domestic terrorism. It's just to kind of imply that this movie is based on a true story. It's not, but it's cool to think that it is. It's Unbreakable. That's the movie. It's just so gratifying that Unbreakable, like, now is just getting the recognition it deserves. I'm super pumped for Glass. I really want to see how this story closes. There's so much in this movie that I like that I probably didn't even talk about in this review. There are just so many things in this movie that I love. This is my favorite M. Night Shyamalan movie. It's probably, if I were to make a list of like the 10 best superhero movies, Unbreakable would definitely be on there somewhere. And I can say like wholeheartedly that Unbreakable absolutely is awesome-tastic. This great story of just like good and evil that I hope like Glass like really just drives home. So Unbreakable, I guess the question should be, what is your favorite M. Night Shyamalan movie? And yes, I did a review for Unbreakable to gear up for Glass, which means I'm also going to do a review for Split to gear up for Glass. So look forward to that in the next day or two. So anyway, Unbreakable. What do you think? What's your favorite M. Night Shyamalan movie? Sound off in the comments. I will see you guys next time.